Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow, and welcome back to Supreme Commander Forge Alliance Forever for a 4v4 team matchmaker game played on Adaptive Monument Valley. Let's go ahead and get into player introductions, starting with the red team or team 1 in the north and ending with the blue team or team 2 in the south. And before we do, I'd like to direct your attention to the buttons down below. Like, subscribe, and please leave a comment telling me which team you think will win and why. And without further ado, let's start with the rear guard player for Team 1, an orange UEF going first land by the name of Lexicon 6. No, that's 7. I don't know my Roman numerals. As we move on to the south with the bright red UEF going first land with a name that is sure to pique your interest. It is none other than System Shock. Then up to the northwest of him, we have a yellow Aeon going first land, best faction. What a great decision from this man today, and his name is Mr. Hat in Claws. Then over to the northwest of him, we have a maroon Cybran going first land, getting his hydro done, and with a name edgy as all get out, it is Blades of Doom, with Leet Speak added in just to make it more edgy. As we move on to Team 2, and we're going to be looking at the purple Aeon in the rear guard air position. It is the best faction, and it is a beautiful name. It is none other than Halcyon Wolf, a fellow content creator for FAF. I'll try and remember to leave the channel in the description if I don't yell at me. As we move up to the north with the light blue Cybran player going first land by the name of Dwarfers 90. Then over to the middle of the map with the Cyan UEF going first land by the name of Triax 2. And last but not least for the entire game, a very dark blue UEF going first, second, and third land. It's none other than Cabs. And with all of our players introduced, we can take a moment to look at this map, kind of becoming a classic. Has been around for quite a while. I remember when it was new. And of course, 55,000 reclaim for these players to scoop into their coffers, and that's just the natural reclaim. We're going to have a whole lot more once these players start punching each other in the face. And of course, we have to talk about the game balance. 99%, these two teams neck and neck for average rating at 1,078 for Team 2 and 1,084 for Team 1. So a very evenly matched game here for us today. Let's talk about how the map plays out. We have this central area, which is usually a grounds for large land battles with its open plains. And then we also have these two areas in the northwest and southeast corners where these players will be trying to hold on to some choke points. One of the players, most likely for Team 2 Cabs, is going to try and take over this kind of plateau and then get some factories set up here and produce a defensive line right here to defend against attacks coming out from the presumed defensive line from the enemy team, which is going to be right here. And it's mirrored on the other side of the map. So that is how the map is expected to play out. But things don't always go as expected, and we're going to see what goes on exactly over here. As Triax opening with a very early bomber, getting one kill, just going to assume it was onto an engineer, and another bomb going to be going down relatively soon. We have multiple E-storages on the way, and it doesn't seem as though the bomber had a good targeting setup there, so he's just going to go down with one kill on the bomber. That's a very, very unfortunate early play out from Triax, not really getting any real value right there. As we meander our way into the game, getting close to the 5-minute mark. No upgrades on the way very critically. I think you can get some upgrades on the way around 4 minutes and 30 seconds, which is what we're at right now, but nobody opting for that. And of course, we have units coming out. We have a strong expansion effort coming out from Blades of Doom, sending his comm over here. We also have Cabs doing much the same. He's going to try and take a more forward position than he did previously. I previously anticipated. Usually you do see this player right here send their comm out and try and hold this area. Instead, we're going to see Cabs moving his comm over here a little bit further forward, and System Shock moving in, and gonna notice that very, very quickly. As in the middle, we have two comms out from the northern team, Lexicon and Mr. Hat and Claws. And Triax here in the middle, a little bit alone. He is going to start working on the reclaim there, the central reclaim. Not as impactful as you would think. There's not really all that much reclaim along this center line. There's much more reclaim in the bases or in this kind of general area, or even like right up here, than you're going to be seeing here in the middle of the map. So that's going to be an interesting little setup there. Lexicon 7 now making his way forward. Gonna be able to pick off a few kills onto the Strikers, Lobos, and I don't remember the name of the scout. Snoops of Cabs, and of course Cabs gonna be forced to fall back now. He's gonna be pressured from multiple angles, what with the spam out from Mr. Hat and Claws, the commander of Lexicon 7, and System Shock's commander. He's in a little bit of a precarious situation here. Here in the middle, we have range now on the way for Mr. Hat and Claws. Triax 2 wants to walk forward and cancel it, but at 83%, I can't imagine anything here would scare Mr. Hat and Claws away from his very, very important upgrade, and he's going to get it in 3, 2, 1, and that's going to be dangerous for Triax. Triax going to want to start falling back very soon, or getting his own spam out over here. It's just a range upgrade, so for now, it's not really going to affect the amount of tanks that Mr. Hat and Claws can kill in a short period of time, but over time that could add up. That could become very dangerous. Would love to see maybe sensors and a couple of E-storage out for overcharge coming onto that commander to help him just get more value out of that sniper comm, or he could go for speed, which is his option, or what he is opting for now. This plateau over here, we have some engineers sent up over here for Halcyon Wolf, and Halcyon Wolf, he's gonna be in a rough position as now tanks and engineers dropped off for Lexicon 7, and Lexicon gonna be in a very strong position, may be able to hold every plateau in the game with the exception of this one over here, which is held by Halcyon Wolf. And up here to the north, we have Dwarfers 90 versus Blades of Doom, both commanders getting dangerously low, but I would say Dwarfers 90 is losing out on the exchange, at least temporarily. And of course, Blades of Doom isn't going to survive if they both just keep nailing each other with shots from those commanders. This factory now under a heavy amount of pressure, really wanting to shut that down is Dwarfers 90. He wants to be able to gain complete control of this corner. Meanwhile, on the southeastern side, we have a lot of concerted effort coming out from System Shock. He wants to push Cabs away, but Lexicon may have overextended over here. He's sitting in a dangerous position with a lot of strikers firing on him. I don't know if he has enough damage on the comm alone to be able to get out of this. He needs an overcharge. He gets one. He gets his first rank of veterancy, which is going to make it a lot easier for him to get out. A lot of units now coming out from System Shock, as well as his commander, to try and protect his orange UEF ally. UEF gotta stick together as damage and range is on the way for Cabs. He wants to continue to pressure over here on this eastern front, and the middle damage and range on the way for Triax, but he has to be a little bit careful as Mr. Hat and Claws is showing up with his speed and range comm, and he is gonna start kicking butt and taking names. And he's all out of names. I don't know. As here on the western side, we're going to have an exchange of commanders. 2 commanders for the price of 1 right here. 2 Cybran explosions going to light up your screen with that beautiful, beautiful white color there. And of course, that means that Dwarfers 90 and Blades of Doom out of the game. Their base is going to be transferred to the highest rated players on each of their teams. That's going to be Halcyon Wolf and Lexicon 6 respectively. Lexicon may opt to hand this base over to Mr. Hat and Claws, and if he does, that's going to be a bit of a risk. Mr. Hat and Claws, while he's doing well in the middle up against Triax, is the lowest rated player on his team. And over here to the east, it seems as though one of the players does go down. That's System Shock going down. Very unfortunate. Cabs with the damage and range upgrade, able to walk down that commander along with all of his spam, which he has a lot of. And with that, Cabs has put his team into a very winning position. We have Lexicon 7 out over here with 3 bases, already a T3 mechs done, and right now Team 1 is blazing away, way ahead on Eco, and they have a better situation in both of the corners, being able to hold on to much more territory. And on top of that, this plateau is null and void, at least for the Southern team, for the time being. So right now, Lexicon sitting on a monstrous economy of 117 mats a second at sub 10 minutes. And I think it's only going to get worse for the Southern team from there economically. But the question is, can Lexicon manage it all? Can he deal enough damage? Maybe he can take out Cabs or one of these more forward players like Triax here in the short term, because he needs to get something done on the field. Otherwise, he's going to be in a very rough position, as Mercy's now coming out. Seems as though there's going to be a snipe attempt onto Mr. Hat and Claws. This might be a 1v4 before we know it, down to 1,300 HP. Very, very close to being a bad situation here for the Northern team. A 1v4 at sub 10 minutes almost would be disastrous, but it does seem as though Mr. Hat and Claws may be able to just walk out of here unscathed. Gonna be able to get another rank of veterancy if these units keep pursuing, but that's a lot of units and needs to make sure his pathing does not get messed up. It just takes one tank bumping into him right now to slow him down enough for these artillery, for these tanks to catch up and really deal some damage to him. He has his own spam coming out, but it's just not enough. Lexicon still trying to use his units to kill off Cab's commander, but Cab's commander is just eating them up with that damage and range commander. And now Mr. Hat and Claws deciding to turn around, deciding can't just give up this area after investing so much into this commander. Has already gotten quite a few kills, has paid off the gun upgrade itself, but needs to continue getting some amount of value here. And the question is, how exactly will he manage it? As over here to the east, we have a lot of Mantis now coming out from Lexicon, as well as Strikers, just a combined factions force. Will he be able to make something big happen here, or will he be struggling with the APM requirement for him right now? The western side not looking too dangerous here, and actually it was Cabs who got the second base. It was not Halcyon Wolf. My bad, misspoke there a little bit earlier, or misread the overall ratings of these players. And right now, as we look at it, Team 1 still ahead by nearly 60, if not 70 mass a second. And that's going to be dangerous. Would really love to see this mech get capped. It will increase the production of this mass extractor from 18 to 27. And 27 is more than 18. That's quick maths for you. And right now, Lexicon's still sitting on a strong economy. Would love to see him just go straight for T3 air, and he is. He has a lot of T2 power going up right now. Halcyon Wolf, on the other hand, is further along on his T3 upgrade. I think Lexicon is really overcompensating with the power right now. No, you don't need this many T2 pigeons. Really worried about something. Maybe he's going for like T2 production somewhere else of something else, and does have some upgrading factories going to T2. I think that's an HQ factory over there for the UEF, has a T2 air HQ for the Cybran, has a T2 land HQ for the Cybran as well. So he's gonna have a lot of teched up different faction units. The question is, how does he exactly focus all of this? And now he's throwing all of his assistants onto his factory, and he will have a lot more to throw than Halcyon. Halcyon's going to take longer on building his T3 pigeon, and right now Lexicon may have enough power to just start T3 air production, instead deciding to control K some of these power grids, some of these lines of power. Needs to make sure he reclaims those relatively quickly, as over here to the east, a few pillars out from Cabs starting to push forward in towards the base, and Lexicon just doesn't have the units to really deal with that Tech 2 threat. T2 land about to finish up over here, and I don't think that this is enough units to really threaten that, but does still need to be worried. Is capping mechs all around the place, getting a lot of economic upgrades just through that passive form of upgrading, and now an upgrading passive T3 mechs over here. I think he realizes he's ahead economically and just needs to start spending that economy. He's getting a lot of factories set up over here. These 3 factories should probably just go straight to T2, and one of his land HQs should just immediately go to Tech 3. And he does give one of the bases over to Mr. Hat and Claws, decides to use its economy for just long enough to manage it. And right now, Yellow, your commander is going to get sniped. Yellow, go for it. I guess he was asking for the base. Did he place that down? Let Yellow manage left. Gotcha. That's exactly what was going on there. And over here to the west, we have a lot of T1 production. It's not necessarily going to go down to this. Yeah, no, it's going to go down to this. Those rhinos are going to be a little bit too much to handle. And Yellow not really optimizing this base, not really using his second base very much. Getting T3 mechs is good and all, but you need units to protect those. As shield is now on the way for Mr. Hat and Claws. And right now it's looking desperate. Triax sitting in the middle on an upgrade. What upgrade might that be? That is Tactical Missile. And Strat Bomber out for Lexicon. I think that there are ASF in play already for the other side. And in fact, there's at least a Quantum Gateway, so... or Quantum Reactor, not Gateway, sorry. So that is enough to be a bit scary. If he can get some really good bombing runs, I'm talking get bombing runs onto just a few of these players' T2 mechs, that could be huge. Nobody's really at T3 on the enemy team. I'd really just love to see an attack order right here. I think if you put it right here with UEF, you can still hit both of these mechs. But even just being safe, putting one right there, putting one onto this mechs in particular since it's upgrading, and putting one onto the air player's base could be huge. But we'll have to wait and see. The Interceptors actually managed to get out in front of this and go to where the Strat Bombers are going first, and instead he's going to prioritize trying to get a kill onto one of the enemy commanders. He's going for Cabs, the highest rated player, but there's an ASF out onto the field, and it might be enough with the assistance of the Interceptors, and these Bombers are going to have to get a lot of passes in. I really think this was a misplay. I think you just go for the economy here, but unfortunately it's not the play that Lexicon saw. And now he's going to be going for his own ASF production. As here on the center of the map, we have a lot of units now starting to push in. Those rhinos from before, along with other units now pushing in. Obsidian's going to try and show up in the rear, but I don't think they're going to be able to get there in time. Some rhinos are going to be produced, but this base may lose some of its economic prowess. Although he's got a bunch of T3 mechs over here, can very easily rebuild these, especially if he has a T3 engineer kicking around, could just rebuild them at T3. And the rhino's gonna start dealing damage down onto this very soon. One of the mechs is definitely going down, and it seems as though he's focusing them all down one by one. Obsidian's finally showing up to try and deal with this, but it's a little bit too little, it's a little bit too late. All 4 T2 mechs is almost inevitably going down here. Yeah, there's not enough damage and not enough time. That Cybern mechs goes down, and that's all of the T2 mechs in this core kind of base here for Mr. Hat and Claws down. And the map control, it was looking great for the northern team earlier. Now it's starting to look a little bit dire. What with this eastern side having struggles. Titans now coming out onto the field. They will be able to deal with the rhinos and the pillars relatively well, but he needs a lot of them, and he needs them yesterday. Does get a broadsword out to try and help deal with this. What is the ASF response? We have ASF now out onto the field for Halcyon Wolf. I don't know if he really has enough to go for the dive onto that broadsword. And honestly, it's probably not worth it. Titans coming out of these factories now in mass. These pillars not really going to achieve too terribly much. But right now, Cabs is putting on a masterclass of just applying pressure, attacking this base, attacking over here on the eastern base. Getting a lot of value there. but both of the players for the northern team are over 100 mass a second, and all the players on the southern team are below that threshold. So things not necessarily going as well as they would like. I think Cabs is about to be working his way up to that, but he just really doesn't have that many T2 mexes. And Reclaim is going to be coming in droves. The southern team up 17,000 Reclaim as more and more units continue to pour into this base. And oh no, the T3 land HQ may be going down. More broadswords are trying to show up to deal with this, but all of the focus is coming in. A lot of units from Triax finally show up to help out. And Triax has that tactical missile upgrade. He's going to be going for something here in the middle. Maybe these T2 mexes up on the plateau. The T3 land HQ goes down. The broadswords are still in the air trying to make something happen, but they're not going to be able to. So this force is going to be able to push in, and there's really not much here to completely outright stop all of these units. Those reinforcements from Triax were pivotal. And Harbingers now coming out from Mr. Hat and Claws, going to try and send them over, try and save some of this economy. But these T2 mechs is almost assuredly going to go down, and that's going to slow down Lexicon, just like Mr. Hat and Claws was slowed down. Just that little bit of economic damage can go a long way in catching you up, and now Team 2 is ahead economically for the first time in a long time. So Team 1 at the APM disadvantage, Team 1 at the mass generation disadvantage. And despite a relatively strong-looking early game where you had a lot of players died, but you had a lot of strong economic prospects, now you don't have those prospects. And we're going to have to see if they're able to come back. Meanwhile, on the southern side, air production is looking all right. 2 air factories online for Halcyon Wolf, still on 1 over here for Mr. Hatton, or no, for Lexicon. And there's a lot of reclaim here that could come in handy for either of these players very soon. And the land armies are fully Tech 3 now, at least for Mr. Hat and Claws. He has some Obsidians still kicking around, but he has a lot of Harbingers. Maybe he can get out here, start setting himself up some map control. Would love to see him with these Harbingers have a few T1 factories producing engineers, or just send a bunch of these engineers out on attack moves so you get automated reclaim. Also, you can always just throw a Q onto all of these mass extractors once you kill them. And for some reason that mass extractor was reclaimed. Very interesting. I guess that was an orange mass extractor, so that makes sense. Or maybe it was some ally subterfuge there, needing a little bit of mass. Just reclaim your teammates' mexes. One-stop shop for all your mass needs. As here in the middle, tactical nuke now on the way for Triax. And in the center, we have Harbingers fighting off T2 units. There's a lot of T2 units still coming out from cabs. And there's going to be much Harbinger production. The Harbingers need to keep moving, though. They're not really great when you let a lot of T2 units get on top of them. You need to fall back, let these factories tank some HP. They have a lot of HP and can tank it very well, especially with the assistance here. They'll get repaired eventually. The reinforcing Harbingers do show up, and that will be big. And right now, Team 1 was at least temporarily, and yes, now yet again in the mass generation lead, thanks mostly to Lexicon, but Halcyon Wolf over 200 mass a second now is looking strong. And the mass generation very even between these two teams now. Still either side's game. All of this reclaim is going to be coming in super handy. Lexicon going to be able to shoot his economy up very quickly with more T3 mexes going up every second. And that will put him in a strong economic position. My question is, who goes for experimentals first? We're starting to get towards that stage. T3 land production now online for cabs. He only has T3 land of one variety, at least for the moment. Here soon is going to be getting T3 land of the Cybern variety. But over here in the center, Mr. Hat and Claws, he's played an alright game so far. We do have to remember that he is the one of the lowest rated players in the game. Triax giving him a run for his money at 625. And he is doing an admirable job so far. Has gotten T3 land production up, has really focused on it, got his own T3 air up, knows that air is going to be very important in this game. Unfortunately, though, doesn't really have the power to support it as far as I can tell. Very soon going to be in a power stall unless overflow is enough, which for now it might be. And a lot of units, a lot of reclaim coming out over here. These are all just T2 engineers. None of these look like Sparkies to me. Yep. And over here to the north, a lot of units killed off, but critically, the engineers managed to skate the aggression of the Harbingers. And the Harbingers are going to kill off a lot of mass generation up here, mostly Halcyon Wolves. It's going to be, it's mostly T1 mexes, but there were odd T2 mechs strewn in there as well. And Lexicon now bringing his team yet again to a solid mass generation lead as the first tactical Billy Nuke out of the gates lands, and it lands into the base of Mr. Hat and Claws, and that's probably really helping the mass kill total up to 20,000 already. And Triax has really come out swinging, has one nuke under his belt. How many more can he get? Well, that's what we're here to see. Let's see that next launch. I think it does track the missile, even with the commander. Most missile launchers will track the missile when it fires. Would love to see where this next one is going. But we will have to wait and see on that, because Triax really not able to afford the power cost here. Yeah, it's really not the wisest idea to go for a Billy without multiple T3 Pigeons. He doesn't even have one yet. So that Billy is going to take quite some time to load, but we are going to track it nonetheless. I do want to see how it goes. And there's bricks and harbingers now bearing down on this northern side. And on the southern side, some bricks and harbingers were thrown out as well. And one of these factories up here got to stay alive and produce more engineers as the Billy Nuke is out into the air. And let's slow down to get a beautiful shot of this Billy Nuke. Oh, sorry, the camera is being very difficult with me. I believe the Billy Nuke does have something written on the side. Can you see what's written on the side? No, you really can't. And in comes, yeah, it says missile. In comes the Billy Nuke. And let's get an overhead view for the incoming damage, going yet again for one of Mr. Hat and Claw's bases, I should say. And he's gonna get a dangerous blow down there. What all did that kill? That killed the T3 land HQ, the T3 air HQ. It killed a T3 mechs. Oh no, it's a disaster. He got two T2 mexes, T3 mexes over here as well. And right now, Triax is going to be happy with his investment. 40,000 mass killed. And that's just a drop in the bucket as it's given his team the mass generation lead. It's given his team a strong contendership here for winning this game. He's really just crippled one of the two enemy players. And that enemy player, in all of his efforts over here, only managed to get one T2 mechs killed on cab. He did get a lot of this territory over here to the north cleaned up. Did do a lot over here. He's been very, very strong showing for him. But that fatal mistake to not get TMD after the first base went up in smoke was a nail that he couldn't afford to have put into his coffin. And now gonna go for a Monkey Lord to try and help his efforts of staying in this game, at least land-wise. And that seems to be the first experimental coming out onto the field as of now. So that could be big. Remember to hydrate, everybody. And Cabs has built an experimental. Where did he build an experimental, and what is it? It was a GC actually built by Halcyon Wolf and handed to Cabs. And another one has already been started up. Needs to get all of these engineers assisting it, honestly. Or send the engineers to do something. Maybe assist the Quantum Gateway. As Ras is on the way for Halcyon Wolf, gonna start feeding GCs over to Cabs. And honestly, how does the Northern team stop it? Another Billy Nuke killing off a T2 army. And that Harbinger that GC may be the key to this game that the Southern team needed. They've been struggling with getting damage done through conventional means for a little bit. They were losing the land war. It was starting to look good again for this Northern team. But the Southern team coming out with interesting strategies with triaxes, nuke, tactical nuke rush, and now going for shield, deciding, hey, the comm has gotten 41,000 mass killed with that Billy Nuke. Let's go ahead and get shield, maybe even get shield bubble, and get myself set up for success here, as he's going to start building a flare with a T3 engineer, just trying to make a defensible portion of the middle of the map. Maybe has seen the Monkey Lord under construction, but the Monkey Lord really isn't that scary when there's a GC that's going to be bearing down on your base in a couple of minutes. It just needs to cross the map. I'd like to see the GC take the more direct route through the front door instead of this side door, which is very much so defended with buzzkills, ravagers, and triads. And I would also, if you're going to be firebasing like this, if you're not going to be able to fight the land war, it kind of feels like it's time to go ahead and set yourself up for success by throwing down PD here in the middle. Or at least in your base to just try and stop a potential GC. I mean, they should know about it, but they don't. They don't have Omni, and critically, that's going to really hurt them. The air game also seemingly dominated by Halcyon Wolf, which it comes as no surprise. He has an actual air grid. His opponent has neglected to build a real air grid, if we're honest. And a fat boy now on the way for Lexicon, as the ASF loom over his base. Where's all that shooting coming? Oh, down here. A run by Lexicon, picks up a few mexes and gets killed off by Titans. And in the middle, that GC I was talking about, well, it's coming in. And it's coming in hot. Let's go ahead and speed up just a little bit. We do have a bit of a lull here. Let's look at the economies. 318 for Lexicon. Halcyon Wolf sitting at almost 300 or around about that. 231 for Mr. Hat and Claws. 171 for Cabs and Triax at 170. Overall team ecos 642 for Team 2 and 550 for Team 1. And right now, it's looking bad as in comes the GC. There are some Percivals here. Is it enough Percivals? Maybe the broadswords, maybe that commander out from Mr. Hat and Claws, but that commander gonna lose its shield very quickly and gonna lose its life shortly after. And right now, it's looking very dangerous for the Northern team. Can Lexicon defend is the question, and I don't think he can. As the GC pushes in, gonna need PD and gonna need it quick. His power grid is gonna be under threat very soon. Maybe he can make something happen. Does have a Ravager finished up, trying to build another one. But it might be a little bit too little, and it might be a little bit too late. Air, the occasional Percival, trying to solve the issue of the Galactic Colossus. But the Galactic Colossus says no. I don't care. Firing at Lexicon. Lexicon's going to be able to fall back. Instead, firing at a Mex now. Going to go for a P-Gen. 13,000 HP and falling. Might be able to kill off the GC before it kills off this P-Gen, and doesn't, though. And that's going to mean Lexicon almost assuredly goes into a power stall once his build power gets really focused on something. And now, with all of these Titans pouring into the base, this northern side, these 4 T3 mexes are all but forfeit. And it kind of feels like it's all done but the singing. Let's go ahead and get over here and get a nice, beautiful view of the commander. And see exactly how this game ends out. He's trying to throw together some Ravagers. He's trying to finish that Fat Boy. But I saw the pop-up, and you can see it on the mini-map. There's another GC done. And there it is. It's making its way in. Will the GC be the end of this game, or will it be the Titans? Let's go ahead and just speed it up a little bit. I don't believe Lexicon has much of a chance. Up there to the north, you can see that base going down. The GC walking its way over. And Lexicon, he's built up a defense. He's still trying to get out enough units. Maybe he can hold? I'm not sure. It felt pretty over. A Fat Boy on the way. Maybe he can finish that up and survive. But that GC is already within sight. And this Fat Boy is going to take a little while to finish up. The GC does go for that northern base, giving him a little bit of time. But the GC now going to start pushing in. There are some PD. There's the 4 Ravagers there. Are they going to be enough? And the Fat Boy finishes, and I may have been wrong. I just figured it was over after seeing all those armies get into the base. I mean, it still probably is over. He's going to lose most, if not all, of his economy. You can see the GC here just sitting here, eating up the mexes, getting veterancy to replace the HP he's losing from Ravagers. Not very quickly, mind you. Let's go back to normal speed. And there's a Tsar now. But hey, Lexicon's proven his ability to stay alive despite everything so far, so maybe he can continue. The Ravagers and Fat Boy are going to kill off the GC. But he's down below the mass threshold that he needs to continue being a threat in this game. There's only one player with less mass than him, and it's Triax. And in comes the Tsar from Halcyon Wolf. Congratulations to my fellow FAF content creator. I believe he's a streamer. Thank you all for watching. This is Willow, signing off. Consider joining the channel membership or the Patreon. And thank you to the people who are already members over there. Those 2 programs really help me out a lot. Channel membership gives you access to each video early, and channel Patreon gets your name at the end of every video. See you in the next one. This is Willow, signing off.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, baby